Welcome into Onorato and Bagnardi. Chris Onorato, Sean Bagnardi with you now Monday afternoons at 12:30, reacting to the weekend in football. If you saw the video we did on Friday, we'll go over our picks that were not good. And I'm going to throw a lot of qualifiers at you as to why they weren't as good as they really could have been. We lost some really tough ones.
We did, and
yesterday.
I made you change one on Saturday that we shouldn't have changed. In hindsight, we shouldn't have changed.
Not happy about that one. But we've had the first NFL Sunday behind us, the first week in the NFL with still 2 Monday nighters to go tonight. Initial impression is some teams really let one get away yesterday.
Yeah.
Your
some
Jets,
teams
the
did.
first to do it. You know, if you're watching the afternoon games, the Lions let one get away. The Chargers almost let one get away. The Seahawks almost blew it to Cincinnati. There were a lot of games that were close yesterday that really should not have been. But I'm sorry, the Jets blowing that game still bothers me a day later.
It should, because you picked them to win the division. It still bothers me a day later, too, because, yeah, I'm a Jets fan. And that was heartbreaking. Because
you knew it wouldn't end well. They're up 6-0 at halftime, and they had turned Buffalo over 4 times. You knew, and oh, by the way, those 6 points came on a defensive touchdown, a pick 6.
Right.
You just knew this is not going to end well. The offense did not look good at all yesterday.
No, I texted you at halftime and was like, 6-0, 4 takeaways. That could be big trouble.
Yep.
And of course it was, although you still wind up being up 16-0.
Yes.
And you're thinking, boy, the field goal kicking could really come back to bite us in this game. Not sure how, because we're still doing okay. We're still up 16-0. But look what happens at the end, right? You wind up losing by a point after you miss an extra point and miss a field goal.
Yep. The field goal,
that's going to be a problem too.
Bad hold, not a great snap. Everything was thrown off on that, so I'm not going to blame the field goal kicker, but the extra point you have to make, obviously, and that becomes a huge point. I thought at 16-0, nail the cover on this one.
Really? Have you ever seen a Jets game? Because I wasn't thinking that.
A little new to them this year.
Yeah.
Newly on the bandwagon.
I was worried because but you are still thinking, there's something in the back of your head that is, as skeptical as you are, you're still thinking, look, is Buffalo going to be able to come back? Are they going to be able to score enough against our defense?
Right.
But when your defense, think about it, they had scored the 6 points, then they had scored the 2 on the safety. It was like, well, our defense is going to score as much as our offense here. We're going to be okay.
This is where the game turned. C.J. Mosley leaves the game with a groin injury, does not play at all in the fourth quarter. Buffalo started to run the ball incredibly effectively. Devin Singletary, mostly. Allen runs one in. He throws one to John Brown. The Jets' defense and the secondary, and I know Josh Allen's not a Pro Bowl quarterback yet in his career, but that secondary was better yesterday than I thought they would end up being. Like Tremaine Johnson might have actually found what made him such a high-ticket free agent a couple of years ago. But without Mosley, that defense is different. And they need him to be healthy and to be on the field to be as good as they can be, for sure.
All right, so you pick them to win the division. Let's set the Patriots aside for a minute.
Okay,
fine. Let's set that aside.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. Tell me, convince me, help me as a Jets fan feel like we still have a legitimate, I'll say, playoff shot, okay? After losing week 1 at home to a division opponent and looking not very good in doing it. We know what New England is. Tell me why I should still believe we are a good playoff team. You see enough positives in that game.
Yes. There are enough holes that I know they'll fill it. That defense is really, really good.
Okay.
It's really good. And I'm going to assume health from start to finish of the season here. I'm going to assume Mosley's back Monday night against the Browns. Haven't seen anything yet today to suggest he won't be. So that you lean on that defense. Greg Williams, mastermind that side of the ball throughout his career. He'll dial up blitzes that create problems for teams the way he did in the first half against Buffalo. Here's what is a negative yesterday, but a positive going forward. The offense only gets better. And you saw it with a bunch of teams, not just the Jets. And I know Sam Darnold isn't Aaron Rodgers, but the Packers' offense was terrible Thursday night. Yeah. That was a first go at it with the first-year head coach, Matt LaFleur in Green Bay. Now you've got a new offense, and you've got a new head coach with Sam Darnold, Adam Gase. The offense will get better. My concern is you're Adam Gase, you've been a head coach before, you've been an offensive coordinator before. You had months to come up with an offensive game plan for Buffalo, and that's what it looked like.
Yeah, not
that
strong.
I don't love. Also, Le'Veon Bell will get better.
And he looked pretty good.
And he looked good.
He looked good, I thought.
He'll get better. Only, I think he carried it 17 times. He will get better. He'll get more touches, more carries. They will get better. My concern becomes the schedule. We've gone over the schedule. It's difficult, other than like a 6-7 game stretch kind of in the heart of the schedule that is, quote, easy.
Right, but you don't want it to be at that point and say we got to win 6 out of 7.
You can't be 1-3.
Right.
You have to now. Unfortunately, now week 2, as dumb as this sounds, you have to win at Cleveland because we know the numbers. Look,
0-2s don't make the playoffs.
Correct.
Yeah,
it's very rare.
I know. Yeah.
So you now have to win at Cleveland, which Monday night, if people who saw the schedule like Jets, Browns, Monday night becomes infinitely interesting because you've got two teams who had high hopes going into this year. One of them will be 0-2. I'm telling you, you're going to get two teams Monday night in Cleveland playing desperate football. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I agree. I am excited about that. The biggest positive for me, outside of the defense, because you kind of expected the defense to be good for the Jets, and we do expect them to continue and to get better. The big positive for me was Le'Veon Bell. I thought he actually looked really good for a guy who hasn't played football in 600 some odd days. I thought, okay, this is a legitimate threat we have now. We can hand the ball off to or send out wide and throw him the football. That's something that you would think will help a young quarterback, Sam Darnold, a great deal this season. So to me, this also speaks to what we talk about with the preseason, right? I mean, not only did Bell not play in the he hasn't played football in 600 days. He can come out and look just fine. Now I know he's a high-level talent in the league. Not everybody can do that. But I was thinking that as I'm watching the game. Boy, do we really need to play any preseason at all if this guy can just come in and...
He's different, though, too.
He is different. And he's a running back, as opposed to a quarterback where you want to get some rhythm with the receivers.
He needs the timing to set up blocks and all that stuff. I get it. But practice alone, for me, does enough there.
For a running back.
Yeah.
Did you see the offenses play? Did you see?
Ashley Miller's with us, too, by the way.
I think my mic is on.
Okay.
We need the preseason because nobody played in the preseason, and then they came out and looked like they were all in the preseason. Like it was horrible. The Packers game was horrible.
Yeah, but my point is you're going to get that week 1 almost regardless because now you're playing for real.
Yeah, maybe not to the degree we've said. I would rather have what we've got in Ash than play 2 preseason games. If you said to me, we're going to eliminate 2 preseason games, but those first 2 regular season games may not be pretty, sign me up. Where's the dotted line? Put the contract in front of me. That I want meaningful games that coaches and players take seriously. That's what I want.
I think for a lot of the mid-level talent, it can definitely help. The high-level talent, it's like you get them in the game action, and it takes like a quarter for Aaron Rodgers. It took a half for the Eagles yesterday, right? Then you saw Carson Wentz and that offense look a lot more like Carson Wentz.
And all of a sudden, Case Keenum looked like...
Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, I guess it all depends on the personnel and the teams and who you're playing. But for me, there's nothing like actual reps against first-string talent in the regular season. Yeah. So I'm with you there. Just play the games.
Yeah, okay. Giants and Cowboys, another big divisional game yesterday. I don't know what to make in New York. I think Dallas is really good. The Giants weren't bad. Saquon Barkley had one really long run, and then he was effective at with other touches too. Eli was okay.
He wasn't terrible.
No, 30 of 44, more than 300 yards. He threw the touchdown to Evan Ingram on their opening drive of the game. So week 2, let's see. Buffalo, who played at MetLife week 1, guess what, Bills? You're going back to MetLife for week 2. Weird scheduling thing there. And actually, as you wake up on a Monday morning, the Bills are 2-point favorites at the Giants on Sunday.
Do you feel better this morning if you're the Jets or the Giants? I think the Giants. I mean, the Jets lost. They both lost division games. The Jets lost at home.
Yeah, to a team that most people would say are not as good.
Right. Whereas the Giants, you lost to a team that's supposedly better on the road. You can lose a division game on the road if you then turn around and get that team at home. Now, will they? Dallas is tough. We'll see. But I feel like at the end of the day here, looking at both of them, the way the Jets lost in a game they should have won at home versus the Giants, not looking that bad in a game they were supposed to lose anyway, I feel like the Giants should feel better.
See, but the
Jets are a better team than the Giants.
Yeah, and that Giants defense did not look good. Couldn't get to the quarterback. Prescott had all day to throw. It's a good offensive line.
Day.
But then you had guys running wide open in the secondary. Randall Cobb had a wide open touchdown down the middle of the field. Tight end, whose name escapes me now, wide open in the middle of the field for Prescott's first touchdown pass. That secondary in New York, without a pass rush, is just not going to hold
You saw
up.
the Jets defense in the second half.
I did. No Mosley in the fourth quarter. Well, look, they didn't.
I know.
What did they give up in the third quarter when he was on the field?
Nothing.
They're fine.
If you give up 35 points, you're not beating anyone with Eli or Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Not happening. Doesn't matter who.
It's a lot of points. Dallas is good, though.
Who do you feel better if you're the Giants? I don't know that I have a good answer for that one. I feel really good if I'm the Patriots.
We have to talk about them.
I mean, 33-3.
By the way, we talk about teams taking a little bit to get warmed up. No. They come out of the gate in mid to late season form.
Yep.
Brady doesn't look a second older
No.
than he did when they won the Super Bowl back in February.
Now. Yeah.
Okay, doesn't look a second older on the field.
No.
Arm is just as good.
Yeah.
He gets the protection.
Yeah.
He hits every pass. And now he's got weapons galore. Weapons galore. And oh, by the way, the biggest weapon hasn't even shown up yet.
I said it on News Channel 13 last night. Josh Gordon runs through tackles, and I'm like, and to think this team is adding arguably the best receiver in football.
It's insane.
They go to Miami. Good luck. I mean, the Dolphins made Lamar Jackson look
like Fran Tarkenton.
Well, better than that.
I know. I know. So here's the thing with the Patriots, all right? And it's so frustrating because they lose Gronk, and you think, that's got to hurt them a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. Not at all. And if Gordon keeps his head on straight, he's that big, giant receiver now who Tom Brady can throw the ball to in a lot of big situations.
Yep.
I mean, you can't cover them all. You can't cover Edelman.
Look,
and Gordon,
Pittsburgh,
and Thomas.
There was no AB on the field last night, and Philip Dorsett became the guy who Pittsburgh just couldn't account for.
Right.
Because he's the fourth option. We can't cover him all.
Got to leave him open. Somebody's got to be open.
Now, I will say this. So if you're looking at last night's game for the Patriots and you're thinking, well, forget it, they're a shoo-in to win the championship, you might be right. Look, they might be lowering a 7th Super Bowl banner this time next year. I don't know. But here's what I do know. Brady against the Steelers is not a fair fight. Okay, he's 12-2 all time against Pittsburgh because they run this zone defense that he just picks apart every single. Like how Mike Tomlin and the Steelers haven't devised some kind of defensive game plan different than what they've done.
No.
I mean, he just picks that defense. But he
Especially
sees black
at
and
Foxborough.
gold. He picks them apart.
Yeah.
And what did I say to you? We did our picks, and we'll go over them here. We did our picks, and I said New England does not lose at home in prime time. Now, I didn't know they'd win by 30, but I knew they'd cover the 6.5. They do not lose at home in prime time.
You picked the Steelers to win the division.
Well, yeah, the Patriots aren't in that division.
I understand that.
How'd the Browns look yesterday?
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying is that's a team you put stock. You say that's a good team. Steelers are a good team.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not going to. They'll be good when all said and done.
And I'm not talking about the Steelers. I'm talking about the Patriots. They destroyed a team that you said that's a division winner.
Yeah.
So that you're looking at that then as a potential playoff matchup.
Yeah.
That's a blowout in the divisional round of the playoffs. They're just going to go into Foxborough and get smeared like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's frightening. They're going to add Antonio Brown.
I know.
Now, do you see Antonio Brown? I personally think this is more of a Randy Moss situation than like a Chad Ochocinco. I think he's going to get there and light the roof on fire.
Look, Ochocinco got there. He was not nearly close to the top of his game.
No.
Antonio Brown led the league in touchdown receptions last year with 15 of them.
Yeah,
okay?
I just mean in terms of Belichick's going to make it work. is going to make it. He's going to fit. The head case will not be the head case. He'll be the good football player.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it's a lot of Belichick. I think it's a lot of Brady. Brady has said, AB, you come stay with me. You come live with me until you get settled. Brady said, I'm 1,000,000% all in on Antonio Brown being here. Tom Brady's a smart guy. He realizes, like, 6 is great, but it's not enough. And we're good enough to win again, but look at all the other offenses around the NFL, right? Kansas City, the Rams, the Saints. What am I missing here? Maybe that consistent go-to number one guy who plays every day when he wants. I get it. But Josh Gordon has his own issues that, like, maybe we can't rely on him completely for a season. Let's bring in Brown. I, being Tom Brady, will make it work.
I mean, how do you stop New England's offense?
You're not going to. You're more surprised by what happened with the Browns or the Ravens yesterday. Browns got embarrassed.
Yeah, but
embarrassed by a Titans team that is.
Yeah, for sure the Browns more surprised. We picked the Ravens to win that game.
They were the survivor pool.
We were our survivor pool pick. So we were most confident in that game, sort of, out of all the other games.
Yeah, but 52-10.
And it turned out to be the most convincing win.
Yeah.
So yes, the Browns. The Browns, I think we do have to allow for some time for them to sort of put it together. I'm not in panic mode. Again, I'd rather be the Browns this morning than the Jets. Certainly, after what we saw to New England and what we saw to Pittsburgh, right? I mean, you still feel like you got a pretty good chance then in your division. So I'm not as worried if I'm the Browns. But, like you said, it really puts an emphasis on next week. I mean, that's going to be a great game, Jets-Browns.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Are people in Cleveland this morning like, well, of course, we got all hyped. A lot
I don't
of promise,
think so.
A lot of potential, and look at what we get, 43-13 against Marcus Mariota and the Titans.
I'm a text Pat.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's like a diehard Cleveland everything. He's probably like horrified by the
Defeated.
whole. Oh, I bet. At least yesterday.
Because there's so much history. If the Patriots went out yesterday and they lost 43-13, New England Patriots fans would say,
Oh, of course.
we're going to be okay.
Rightfully so.
We'll figure this thing out. But there's no, like, past success to lean on if you're a Browns fan to say, look, we've been here before. We'll figure this thing out. Are you putting, like, this great amount of confidence in Freddie Kitchens as the head coach to get this thing where it needs to be? Are there reliable, steady personalities in that locker room to make sure that everybody is going to, rally together here? What I'm saying is, yesterday was embarrassing. If it becomes 0-2, and you've lost 2 straight home games to start the year, I don't know. This thing could devolve quickly.
It could. And look, I can't put myself in the mind of a Cleveland Browns fan because I'm not one. But I would think overreacting to that loss would be an overreaction versus some of the other games yesterday where you want to overreact. That's maybe warranted because we talk about it. There's 16 games, and there's definitely an emphasis on every one. The Packers, had they lost that game, the Jets, their loss. To me, that feels different than what Cleveland did yesterday. So I wouldn't panic yet. Don't blow it up, especially after your biggest division opponent goes out there and gets their butts kicked in prime time. Just take it easy.
What about Baker's reaction? I didn't I really like him, but I didn't like it because he was basically like, yep, go ahead, throw us in the trash. Like, I want a guy who's more fired up and peeved that they just got their butts kicked and, like, calls out his teammates or takes it on himself than to be like, oh, yeah, now you guys are going to throw us in the trash. Like, don't put it on the media.
That's what every athlete does now, is they just turn on the media. They say, oh, you guys, yep, I'm sure you won't pick us to win next. It's all about, like, you won't pick us to do this, you didn't pick us to do that. And all you hear from coaches and players, I wouldn't pay attention to the preseason polls.
I know.
Wouldn't pay attention to what people are predicting us. BS, man. Yeah. You listen to it all, you watch it all, you read it all. Because the moment you lose and somebody doubts you, you're so fast to jump on the, you didn't pick us, you didn't like us in the preseason anyway. Or, you know what, you'd be quick to turn on us now, you probably won't. Every athlete and coach out there that says they don't, You do.
I'm with you. I don't love that either, obviously, especially somebody who's in the media. I view that as an idiotic thing to do, and we see it at the highest level of our government.
Sure.
But in this situation, I look at it as, athletes are motivated by different things. And if this is just sort of his way to give his guys bulletin board material or whatever it is, I sort of am more inclined to just ignore that. I don't think that Baker really has the attitude of, well, just throw us in the trash. I think he is a fiery guy, a guy who will look to motivate his players any way he can. I told you I'm a Baker guy.
Yeah, I know
I
you
like
are.
Baker.
I do too.
And I do think they're going to be okay. Yesterday, it's a red flag, but I'm not in panic mode yet over the Browns. I'm more concerned about my Jets, believe it or not.
Mike Golic Jr. from Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio, coming up on the show here in about 5 minutes or so. But let's go over the picks we had here.
Oh, boy.
So here are the ones we lost some in excruciating fashion.
We did.
This is hard to believe, some of them. And you should see me. You should see me now at work.
I love it.
I'm yelling at the TV. It's just idiotic. All right. We picked 10 games. If you didn't see the video Friday, I'll run it down quickly. So we're in 2 different pools. One where you pick 10 games every week, a combination of college and NFL, or just one over the other, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And one survivor pool. Survivor pick, let's just say it, you already said it before.
Cash.
Baltimore Ravens, done.
On to week 2, baby.
Yeah. And I thought, boy, we were also considering Philly and Seattle. As I'm watching those games, I thought, I am so glad we didn't pick Philly or Seattle because they were tight.
And Washington got that late touchdown.
Yeah. But you don't have
that
to cover,
didn't
you just have to
matter
win.
in the game.
Yeah.
No, I know in the Survivor, but that was one that where
Yeah.
I'm thinking of where people pick them because we did look at them too to
Yes.
potentially pick them in our
Yeah.
pick 10.
And that was a 9.5 number, and Redskins snuck in backdoor cover. Anyway, Baltimore. I haven't even looked ahead yet at week 2. Well, you take the Patriots in Miami, don't you? I mean, that's a slam dunk.
No, that's why you don't take the Patriots.
Yeah,
you save them for a
'Cause there'll be
survivor pool.
I think you just pick against Miami every week.
Yeah, but I saved the Patriots. After that pick against Miami, you got to save the Patriots.
So we'll save New England. All right, I haven't looked at the week 2 schedule yet to think about Survivor for next week, but Baltimore got it done, no problem.
Yeah, I'd want to save New England too, I think, for sure.
Now, here are the teams that covered for us.
Okay.
We were 3-7.
3-7, and we did flip one.
This is not.
Should have been 4-6.
This is not a go to the casino type of thing. But I'm going to make a case as to why we will get better here.
Go ahead.
Ohio State covered for us on the college level.
Yeah, it was easy.
New England covered for us last night. Cowboys covered as well. Okay, so those are our 3 wins. Here are our 7 losses. The one that's just not even close, the Browns. We had them to cover 5.5 points. No, they lost by 30.
Nightmare.
Okay.
Yep.
Here's a tight one that we didn't win either.
Okay.
Seattle won by a point. They were favored by 6.5. That didn't happen.
Yep.
Okay. How about Michigan, the college scene? It wasn't even close. It was an entertaining game if you watched Army and Michigan go to double overtime. That was fun.
What was that?
Not good.
No.
Wolverines were favored
Don't bet against Army.
by 23.5. They won by a field goal in double overtime. Scratch them all off the board. None of what I just listed was painful compared to what's coming.
Okay. Yep.
We said Alabama against New Mexico State. Crimson Tide are 56.5-point favorites. Give us the Aggies. I said, give us New Mexico State. 56.5, that's a lot of points. Yeah, Bama can roll it up. But I said, all we need, Sean, is 7 or 10 out of New Mexico State. That's all we need.
Can I explain?
And we will cover. Bama scored 62. How many New Mexico State score?
Yeah, just enough.
10.
10.
Bama didn't cover. So here's what happened. We're at the TV station Friday night. We made our picks on this show.
We did.
It's on Facebook.
We're
that
4-6 on the record on the
that
show.
we were taking New Mexico State. I get talked off New Mexico State, not just by you, but by Eric Hanneman, who also works here at 104.5 The Team. And they say, you got to take Bama. Look at what New Mexico State did last week.
That's the key.
Against Washington State, they lost 58-7. I said, okay, 58-7, fine. But that's 51. This is 56.5.
Against Bama. Listen, when you're watching that game yesterday, or Saturday rather, and you see Alabama go in, we're getting a call here. It's got to be Golic. Should we come back to it?
Yep.
All right.
We'll come back to the picks and how painful it is. We were on the Jets. We were on the Chargers. We were on Detroit. And it was all painful the way it went down. As we get Mike Golic Jr. in on the scene here, I'll tell you about our big sponsor, Leah Infinity, on Route 9 in Latham. They're 1 mile north of the Latham Circle, and the general manager there is Steve Coons, and he's got the program he's calling Luxury for Less. You want a luxury vehicle? Get an Infinity. You can get it for less than some of those other luxury brands out there on the market today, up to $8,000 off some of those Leah Infinity models that Sean and I have test driven, and you've seen it here on the 104.5 The Team ESPN Radio Facebook page. All right, we're here on Mondays for the first time. All right, we started the show a Wednesday before the NCAA tournament to get you ready. We kept rolling with Wednesday. Now we're reacting to what we've seen on a football weekend, so we're with you every Monday afternoon, and we're joined now by Mike Golic Jr. from Golic and Wingo and ESPN Radio. Mike, how are you, man? It's Chris Onorato and Sean Bagnardi.
I'm doing great. Like you just said, I'm happy to actually be reacting to stuff that's real now on football weekends and not just previewing about the Browns anymore.
Yeah, we were, and no one's going to preview about the Browns for too long until maybe after Monday night. We'll get two desperate teams, the Jets and the Browns, on Monday Night Football on ESPN. First of all, though, we were talking about this, and so I'm curious, as a guy who played at Notre Dame and in the NFL yourself, would you rather see the slow start we've seen from offenses in the regular season if it meant doing away with 2 preseason games? Like, are you good with, offenses taking some time to catch up if it meant we didn't have to labor through 2 preseason games?
Yeah, I think the payoff would be worth it. What's interesting is we heard a lot of that, the usual rust at the beginning of the season after so much conversation on the preseason. And I'm pretty sure I just saw this stat today that we're on pace right now with 2 games left for the highest yards per play average of any year in NFL history thus far. And you look at the record of the quarterbacks who played very little in the preseason, and while most of them are on better teams who have the luxury to rest these guys, they're all teams that, for the most part, won this weekend. And the quarterbacks that played a lot of snaps in the preseason were on bad teams that didn't do very well. So I sort of push back a little bit on this idea that the rust was all that detrimental to what we've seen from offenses so far. But that being said, the juice is worth the squeeze. I would rather the guys be healthy and on the field for week 1 sooner than have to battle through a preseason where we risk losing some of the better players in the league.
Mike, I want to ask you, do we even have to play the season at all after what we saw from New England last night? Tell me why, as a Jets fan and as just a fan of everybody but the Patriots, I shouldn't just be demoralized this morning that, boy, they are just going to run the table and maybe not win every game, obviously, but just get back to that promised land.
Yeah, listen, quite frankly, there is very little hope. I mean, the way the Patriots schedule lines up, for the most part, it's been talked about as one of the easier lead-ups, and part of that is they're in a division that's still growing, and I think that's the thing as we talk about the start of the season. The Patriots will probably look better than most because they brought back most of their key components. Obviously, you're going to miss Gronk and a couple of other parts, on the offensive line that they ship out, but they had quality guys waiting in the wings, quality depth there. And for the rest of the team, it's a lot of guys and a lot of people in the system, both player and coaching-wise, that have been there before and done it. So I think them being a little bit ahead of the 8 ball to start, it should be expected. You look across at Pittsburgh, and I understand they dealt last year without Le'Veon Bell for the reasons that we know, but they are dealing for the first time without having Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown as a part of that team. So offensively, things were going to change. Defensively, they were asking a lot of some young players, especially in the middle of that. So a lot of these teams are going to take time to catch up. Unfortunately, who they're catching up to is a team that I think is also only going to continue to get better as they introduce Antonio Brown next week, starting against the Dolphins.
Mike Golic Jr. with us. Mike, I'm not a smart person, and I'm not a Jets fan, but I did bet on them to win the AFC East. Stanford Steve, who we had on the show a few weeks ago, said just take your $20 and throw it out the window. Someone can do something more productive with that money. I still did it anyway. And now after I watched the Jets blow a 16-0 lead yesterday to a Bills team that you just have to beat at home if you're going to win that division, in my opinion, where does this leave New York as they get ready to play Monday night in Cleveland?
I think it's a good recalibration and a reminder that as excited as everyone, myself included, was with the Jets, with the potential for Sam Darnold and Gase pairing on offense, they don't have a deep threat right now, and the tackle spots are going to be a little suspect. And I think you saw on defense, more importantly, we talk about value all the time in terms of what guys get paid and, was it too much to bring someone like C.J. Mosley over. That defense was completely different when he was off the field with that groin injury in the second half, and I think a lot of that evaporated lead had to do with losing that presence in the middle and what it allowed Buffalo to do on the other side offensively. Not to take away from the steps that Josh Allen took, turnovers aside in that game from year 1 to year 2 so far. I just think for the Jets, it's a reminder that this roster in a couple of key spaces, we talked to Mike Tenenbaum today, who said, premium positions, tackle and defensive back at the corner positions, the Jets are still a little flawed right now, and so there's work to be done there.
Mike, we still have 2 games left, obviously, here in Week 1 tonight for Monday Night Football. But what was your biggest surprise so far of the opening week of the season?
The biggest surprise so far, it's got to be like everyone else, the Baltimore Ravens, right? I think we expected a step forward from Lamar Jackson, or at least I did in year 2. He was forced into a weird position last year down the stretch where the Ravens were trying to make a postseason push after Joe Flacco got dinged up during the year. They went to an unconventional offense that was going to make the best use of Lamar's strengths at the time. And then during the offseason, they went and loaded up at spots that were going to work well with what their quarterback did. Throw the ball deep down the field to guys like Hollywood Brown, Mark Andrews in that tight end room are stout. We know that. And try and continue to develop some of those skills. And we saw game 1 that develop and happen better than we could have possibly imagined. Again, I get the Dolphins are a full tank job, and they're probably going to make a lot of people look very good and make a lot of very viable fantasy options. But you still have to go out there and execute. Lamar Jackson and that Ravens offense did it at an historic level yesterday.
So if the Ravens are the biggest surprise, I'm a little interested by that. I know you're not from Cleveland, but of course strong family ties to Cleveland. What is the shock meter reading after the Browns lost by 30?
I think the shock was more just how uncomfortable Baker Mayfield looked. You talk about a team who's breaking in some newness on offense, new personnel. Didn't really address an offensive line that has a chance to be the Achilles heel for that group. But I think on the other side, it's a reminder, sort of the same situation the Jets faced. 2 offenses that had quarterbacks primed to take another big step forward, guys we see as future stars of the league. And teams across from them that defensively aren't the sexy groups that we like to talk about, but are going to be 2 of the better front sevens in the Bills and the Titans that these teams will see all year. And I think Tennessee went out and showed that's the identity Mike Vrabel sought to create. So I was definitely surprised Baker Mayfield looked as inaccurate and uncomfortable as he did. But I'm not really sounding the alarm just yet because, listen, late interceptions are going to happen. They came in bunches when they were trying to press, but that was a 10-point game going into the fourth quarter at that point. It wasn't a completely lost battle then. And I think the rest of it, all that talent will eventually will out. Baker Mayfield, I think, is a guy that we can trust to grow from this and is probably maybe a much-needed shot of reality after the roller coaster ride of fun this Browns all season's been.
So the Jets play the Browns next weekend. Which team is that game more important to after they each lost in Week 1?
I think it's more important to the Browns. I think with the weight of expectation, just by nature of the division they're in, I get New York's a different market, but by nature of that division, I don't know if the Jets are expected to do a ton. The Browns were the off-season darling. They were that, sort of 2011 Eagles dream team style off-season that we had for them. And I just think with the marker that Baker Mayfield has on himself because he's been so outspoken, because he's been so brash, any perceived drop-off from them making the playoffs or winning the AFC North is going to be an absolute sound the alarm moment for the outside media. So I think if the Browns drop one in Monday night after getting their first win in almost 2 years against the Jets last year, that would be a catastrophe for them as opposed to for the Jets, just another unfortunate loss and a slow start to the season.
You hear Golic and Wingo every weekday morning on 104.5 The Team, ESPN radio side here in the Albany market in the 518. Mike, what I learned about you last week is that you are a noted vomiter. I enjoy the fact that you guys just lay it all out there every morning.
Yeah, listen, I got a lot of issues. Like just the fact that we're willing to just openly cop to that for 4 hours a day says a lot about us as a show. But yeah, listen, everyone goes into a game with some semblance of nerves, and guys have dealt with it differently. Mark Schlereth, who worked with us for a long time at ESPN, came from a long line of Denver Broncos lineman vomiters before games. Like, it's a neurotic position. It brings out the worst in you at times. And so I had to get the worst out of me before I could go out and try and play football to the best of my ability. And unfortunately, the Notre Dame tunnel had to bear the brunt of that sacrifice.
You're a great follow on Twitter too, which we're going to get to here in a second. But we can't go any farther without talking about the Giants yesterday. And I don't think most people who are talking, on the periphery of the Giants are talking about 35-17. They're talking about, of course, the insertion of Daniel Jones into that fourth quarter there, where it looked like, you know what, you don't have to put him in. Eli's played okay. You don't even have to open up Pandora's box here to what will be just a series of questions about where does this leave you now at the quarterback position. One, are you surprised Pat Shurmur went to Daniel Jones there in the fourth quarter? And two, do you think it speeds up the timeline at all as to when we'll see him take over for Eli?
No, not at all. That's going to be determined by wins and losses. I applaud Pat Shurmur for doing that, knowing full well what he's going to get on the back end, because it was the right thing to do. We're all sitting there saying the same thing. This game is out of reach. Why not get him some meaningful snaps?
Yep.
No one in that organization and no one on the outside should be so blind as not to see that the 6th overall pick is eventually going to see the field this year. And if you've got opportunities to get him experience in spots where it's conducive, I think you take him if you're Pat Shurmur. Everyone understands how this game is going to go eventually. And even Eli Manning, who wants to believe he's going to start the rest of this year, knows that's probably it for him once you take a guy at 6 overall. So I think it was the right decision. I don't think it speeds anything up, and I think it just makes for a couple of surly press conferences with Pat Shurmur, which he seems more than happy to supply us with.
Yeah, he does. That's for sure.
All right, I got to ask you. I got to know. Does the Antonio Brown experiment work? I keep coming back to the Patriots because I wanna feel like there's some hope here. I mean, I don't expect him to come in and just destroy the New England Patriots system that is just built this dynasty upon. But do you think it works, and does he have a big year on the field?
I think he has a big year for the time he's there. I don't see him finishing the full season with New England. I think eventually water finds its level. Like, as good as this newness can feel and as great as the prospect of being in a winning place like New England is, Antonio Brown's shown us time and time again who he is. You hear that old saying, if someone tells you who they are, believe them. I feel like we've got a pretty good gauge of who Antonio Brown is, and it's just not something that has a long-term fit with New England even beyond this season. I think they'll get some great moments out of them. I think they'll get some great use out of them, but I think ultimately it doesn't finish the season, and for the Patriots, it doesn't matter. They showed you last night what they can do without this guy. They've shown you in the past that they're one of those teams that subscribes to this idea, the sunk cost fallacy. Just because we gave you $9 million guaranteed doesn't mean we won't cut you within the week. Doesn't mean we won't cut you within the month. Doesn't mean that we're afraid of moving on from you if this is clearly not going to work in the ways that we want. Because it's like that meme from the Tom Hanks movie. I'm the captain now. Bill Belichick and Tom Brady are looking at Antonio Brown and saying, I am the captain now. And you either play by our rules or you can go find someone else to give you $15 million guaranteed.
I haven't seen Captain Phillips yet, but I get the reference. I hear the movie's really, really good too. Mike, dude, you're a rising star in the industry, man. I don't know that there's probably a 30 under 30 list somewhere that you're on, but you're in a great spot now. Would you say you're a quarter of Golic and Wingo in the morning? Does Fitz get a full quarter? Does your dad allow you to get a full quarter? How do you divvy it up?
I think me and Fitz are working with a smaller piece of the pie there. I always joke with people, and I say, despite the fact that it is Golic and Wingo, our name's not on the show. We know who the headliners are. Dad and Trey do a great job. I mean, they're the brands around here. They've been at ESPN each for the better part of 2 decades doing unreal work. And me and Fitz are listen, we're trying to claw our way up from the kiddie table right now, so we'll divide our small piece of the pie up as best we can. I'll probably take a little more of it because, listen, I played O-line and Fitz played fiddle, so eventually someone bigger is going to win that battle. But no, we're really fortunate to be in a good spot. We have a ton of fun every morning. I mean, I get to go in and professionally bust my dad's stones for 4 hours a day. There are not many people that draw a paycheck for that kind of banter, so we count ourselves pretty lucky for sure.
Well, Sean and I are trying to do what you and Fitz did so well last year with the college football Twitter show. We're on Facebook once a week here locally on the ESPN Radio Facebook page. So we're taking a little bit of a page out of your book. But I said you're a great follow on Twitter, at mgolicjr57. And I saw as I'm coming over to the station today, you made a trip to the mall. Do you want to shed some light on what your revelation was at the mall in Connecticut today?
Yeah, man, it it was a weird morning, so I had to go over there and get some headphones. I lost my AirPods because I can't have nice things. And I'm walking in there, and you got to walk through, I think it's like Nordstrom to go in. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, man, all of these mannequins have attitude. Like, these mannequins have way too much confidence to be in these stores to try and make clothes appealing to schmoes like me. And I'm looking through, and there's all these, like, positions they're in, and they all look like they're saying something sideways to me. And it's kind of terrifying. Like, I found one mannequin that looked the way I feel, and they're like, man, I don't know if this shirt fits the right way. I can't pull this off. Like, this color scheme's outside of my range. All the kid mannequins are headless. Like, it's a very strange thing to think how much purpose goes into probably doing that, and how uncomfortable they make me, the person they're supposed to be trying to entice to buy stuff in the mall. So I had a big mannequin morning. It was really strange. I'm sorry / you're welcome for living through that with me on Twitter. I don't really know anymore.
Is a mannequin with a head or without a head more frightening?
I think a mannequin without a head. Well, that's the thing is, all of the kid mannequins were the headless ones. So, like, is that a message? Am I supposed to read into that somehow?
Right.
Is this a sign about the future of our youth that's being communicated to me via these mannequin life forms? I'm not sure, but that made me really uncomfortable.
Sean and I are both in our 30s. If you're a Seinfeld fan the way we are, you know the Elaine mannequin and how great that. Look, it's just another point that even in 2019, Seinfeld still works. It still translates.
It's amazing. One of my favorite Twitter follows, speaking of, is the Seinfeld. I forget what its handle is, but it's essentially Seinfeld episodes in modern times.
Yeah.
And while they try and fit it to more current headlines, you're right. All the same stuff applies today. That show truly is an all-timer.
We got a fan fantasy question real quick while we got you, Mike. Mike wants to know for his wide receiver spot tonight, Tyrell Williams or Cortland Sutton for the Broncos.
Ooh, I'm a big Cortland Sutton fan. I thought him coming on last year was a big revelation for that offense. Big body guy. Joe Flacco's used to throwing it up a lot from the Baltimore Raven days. And I just think in general, this offense is going to be a lot of what we've seen in the past out of Denver. Heavy doses of run and outside run, married in with some shots down the field. I think Cortland Sutton's a good guy in line for that.
Dude, let's do this again, man. This was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you hopping on kind of, last minute, me bugging you on Twitter. And we get out to ESPN about once a year, so we'll look for you in the cafeteria.
You already know where to find me. Thanks for having me, guys.
Mike Golic Jr., that was good stuff. A lot of fun with him, and even got a fantasy question in there. He was happy to give an answer. Cortland's Sutton of the Broncos tonight.
Viewer, you get interaction instantly. That's what this kind of thing's all about.
Yeah, that was fun. He's, look, a young guy, has a lot of fun on that show. If you watch, or if you watch or listen, however you access Golic and Wingo, he's become a huge part of that show, and it is clear that he is just going to kind of be the guy who takes over for his dad. He is in a great spot. Did he say anything about the Patriots that made you feel better?
No.
Yeah, okay.
No. Look, I think we all believe that there's a chance Antonio Brown won't work out the way that we all fear it might.
And even Junior said he doesn't think he's going to play the full year with him.
Right, which is interesting. I think he will play the full year. Again, I see this almost as like a Randy Moss type of situation where they could, they're not going to. Randy Moss came in, they broke every passing record that year. They went undefeated on their way to losing to the Giants. But I see this as being a very successful experiment for this team, which should be frightening to everybody in the league. And even if that means he doesn't light the world on fire, other guys will just because he's on the field. And Tom Brady might benefit more than anybody, and he could put up numbers at his age that are just out of this world.
It's funny, on a Monday after the first NFL Sunday, we should be rejoicing that football is back. We're agonizing. Let's continue with the agony here.
Great.
Let me relive the picks. Okay, we started to do this before Junior popped on the show.
Right.
These were the toughest losses, the bad beats, as Scott Van Pelt calls them.
Well, we were on Alabama. We were talking about that, and we had talked about how we switched.
Yeah.
But that being said, that was 56.5 we were betting on.
Yep.
They were up 55 going into the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. You got a whole quarter, right, to gain 2 points.
Yeah. They pulled Tua Tagovailoa in the third.
I get it, but
we were asking a lot. So Bama didn't get it done for us. Now here are some games I thought we had in the bag. Okay, convinced the Jets would do it. We've lived through that. We had the Jets -3.5. Okay, didn't work out.
Brutal.
We had the Chargers. The Chargers were looking good against Indianapolis. They were 6.5-point favorites. They led by 8 late in that game. They give up the touchdown to T.Y. Hilton. Nobody could tackle along the sideline.
No.
I'm losing my mind.
Yep.
But this is how the game works. Now that the Colts scored, you need the 2-point conversion. You want Indy to score the 2-point conversion. They do. They force overtime. I'm now at work scrambling to find out in overtime, if you score a touchdown, do you kick the extra point or not? As soon as I learned that you don't, I thought, it's over. Can no longer cover the 6.5. The Chargers score a touchdown in overtime. They don't have to kick the extra point. We lose that cover.
That's as tough as it gets right there.
That one was bad. This one is worse. The Lions.
Well,
Lions are up 18 points in the fourth quarter
that was worse.
against a rookie quarterback, rookie head coach, bad Cardinals team. I said, this thing is in the bag. Detroit at least will get us. Why? Because we don't need 6.5 the way we did from the Chargers. We just need 2.5. You just have to win by a field goal. Every team in the NFL that wins usually wins by at least a field goal.
You'd think.
This one is done. Then what happens? The defense completely falls apart. Stafford can't move the ball. The Cardinals score 18 points in the fourth quarter. They score with about 43 seconds left. Larry Fitzgerald, we talk about old guys like Brady getting it done.
Incredible.
It's
what a
unreal
catch,
he's
too. What a
doing.
play down the sideline.
So now I'm back in the same boat. I need a 2-point conversion, Arizona. Please get the 2-point conversion. They do. We go to overtime, but we're in a good place because we only need to win by 3.
Yep.
The Cardinals kick a field goal to start. We're okay. A touchdown covers, and it wins.
Yep.
Detroit kicks a field goal, and I thought, well, here we go. We're headed towards the worst thing in sports, and that is a tie, and that's exactly what we got, a 27-27 tie. So look.
But at the point they get the field goal to tie it, there's still plenty of time for them to get the ball back.
After you give it to Arizona again, I
Well,
don't see it
if
happening.
you don't have a lengthy drive, you can get the ball back.
So anyway, 3-7 is an ugly number.
Very.
We tried to paint a prettier picture.
I'm going to say right now,
We're going to do it again on Friday, so hang out with us.
with the exception of an injury or that kind of thing, no more flip-flopping. And I'm not blaming you for it. It was on me. We made our picks, and then I flip-flopped that Bama one before we had to have our picks submitted. Again, unless somebody gets hurt and changes something drastically, we cannot flip-flop.
Now, 4-6 isn't a heck of a lot better than 3-7, but it's a little bit better.
But
we
this
would have
is
taken it.
well. It didn't help us that this week we were going to lose anyway.
Yeah.
But this is
That's what I'm
also an overall thing.
Right.
So that one could hurt us.
Like a Jets missed extra point. All right, let's do 0, 50, or 100 before we get out of here.
Let's do it.
0, 50, or 100. We've got Ash with us. The free help is back this week.
Beautiful.
Back.
It's always appreciated.
Easier on a
especially when
Monday?
there's a
Because
guest.
it's my day off, so,
Monday.
you know.
Right, so working on a day off.
Love it.
All right, Ash.
All right, here we go. Question 1. Is it more demoralizing to get blown out in football than in any other sport? Or I guess it would be a statement. It's more demoralizing to get blown out in football than any other sport. 0, 50, 100.
I would go 50 here, but I'm against going 50 unless I really just have no way out. I'm 100. I'm 100 on it that it is more demoralizing to get blown out in football because it's such a physical sport. Like if you're just getting beat up on the scoreboard and then you're getting your butt beat up on the field, that's got to be really difficult to just continue to get smacked in the mouth every play as they're running by you. That for me is 100. I'll let you go, Shawnee, and then I'll tell you why I was thinking about riding the fence.
Okay, you're right, but as usual, your reasoning is all wrong. This is a 100, but the reason is because you have to wait an entire week before you can get out there and right the wrong, right? Baseball, you can get out there tomorrow. Okay. Basketball, you got to wait just a day and a half, 2 days, and you're right back on the court, okay? This, you have to wait an entire week, and because there are so many fewer games, it can be more demoralizing that way because if you get blown out 2 or 3 times, now it's like, it's like a quarter of your season where you're playing just terrible football in a game, well, in any sport where confidence is so important.
Yep.
Now it's harder to have your confidence because the sample size is smaller and that's all you have to work with. But the biggest thing of all is not being able to get right back out there.
I contemplated baseball in this only because there's no clock to save you.
The day just drags.
You can't get anybody out. You can't get. There's no mercy rule. You can't get anybody out. You can't get anybody out. And there's no clock where you're just looking at it, hoping it runs out soon.
Yeah, but it could still. Oops, sorry about that. It could still take so much longer for you to get out of a football game than a baseball game. I mean, you could be down 10, 11 runs, and somebody comes in out of the bullpen who can finally get some outs. Whereas, like if you're going against Alabama, so like the game, it just takes forever.
That and there are so many more baseball games, they're just quicker to throw in the towel. Like you see shortstops pitching in the 7th inning when it's 12-1 because they're done. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Every NFL game matters. Every college game matters. It's a little different.
And it also doesn't, like in baseball, you're as good as the next day's starting pitcher. It's less indicative of how you are as a team. Whereas in football, it's like, well, our defense stinks because we can't stop anybody.
Change personnel.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Dash.
All right, number 2. Cardinals offensive lineman and former New York Giant and Syracuse grad Justin Pugh is right. Ties are the worst thing in football. I tweeted yesterday they're the worst thing in sports, but worst thing in football.
Yeah, can we fix this? It's 100 for me. I don't want to tie in any sport. They fixed it in hockey. They fixed it in soccer when it matters. Can we?
Did they? Like a penalty shootout?
Something. I don't want to tie.
You got a field goal kicking contest?
No, I will find a way. I will brainstorm an idea so we do not have ties and we don't play forever. But you cannot tie. This is absurd. And honestly, you hate this idea. Give me sudden death. I like sudden death, and it's not about a coin toss. I'm not going to go out on my rant about this now because we've done it before. But it's not about, the whole game hinges on a coin toss. No, it doesn't. You just play 4 quarters. Get a stop somewhere there. Or if you lose the coin toss, get a stop and get the ball back. I like sudden death. If sudden death guaranteed, it doesn't because you could play a scoreless overtime. If sudden death guaranteed no ties, sign me up for that today.
All right. Well, this is a 0 because it's not the worst thing. Look, if you're the Lions or the Cardinals today, it would be a worse thing for you had you lost the game. All right? So it's not the worst thing. But football, I hate ties. I agree with you. I hate a tie. It's terrible. Football really is getting better at it. I mean, you could say the college football game has it figured out. There are no ties. But even if you don't like that system, the NFL is close enough. The problem is they shortened overtime to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If they would just play 15, we probably would have had a winner in yesterday's game.
Yep.
And so what? You have to play 5 more minutes in a game that you only play once a week. Especially if people are even considering adding regular season games to take away preseason. I've said take away the preseason and don't add the regular season because it's just too much. But this is something that you're right there with. It doesn't even need to be fixed really. Just play a full overtime period.
Could we adopt a college football overtime system? You don't start at the 25, you start at the 40 in the NFL.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Yeah, I mean, the kickoffs are basically irrelevant anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love college football's overtime at all because all of a sudden you're not playing football. You're I don't know what you're playing.
And you shouldn't start in field goal range.
Right, even if you start at midfield or like the opposite 40,
yeah.
who know.
Right. You should have to work your way into scoring range.
I'd be good with that.
Yeah, it's not like a heavy lift. This crazy thing that needs to be fixed. Like we talk about how baseball needs to be sped up. Like there are things there that require more of a change in the culture of the game. This is really almost right there. And the change they made going away from sudden death, I do think was good. And they're close, but just give us a little bit more time to determine a winner. Now, what I don't like about the system is you go down and get a touchdown, it's over.
Yeah, right.
Because, what's the difference? Yesterday, you get a field goal, then you get a field goal to tie it. Well, if you go down and get a touchdown, you should get a chance to get a touchdown to tie it. So, and that is then leaning more toward the college system. So right. Maybe I guess that is what I prefer.
I like that ball midfield to start.
Midfield's fine with me. Yeah,
I could get down with that.
I agree.
We're on every Monday afternoon now here on the 104.5 The Team ESPN Radio Facebook page, but we'll be with you every Friday as well during the football season, giving you our picks, which can only get better. We nailed the Survivor, so if you're in a Survivor pool, listen to our advice there. That's actually something I've been okay with. I'll look at week 2. If all else fails, we take the Patriots in Miami.
I got one thing for you. I heard back from Patrick.
Okay.
So biggest Cleveland fan you'll ever meet. It's like an essay. I'll paraphrase. I said, first initial reaction. Embarrassed and despondent, a lot to unpack, but they were completely unprepared in 2 ways, mentally and strategically. I would hope after such a stunning and high-profile failure, they can find it within themselves to stop believing their own hype and become a mentally tough, poised football team.
Look, some of it has to do with the players, but I asked the question earlier in the show. Do you trust Freddie Kitchens to be the guy to get this team where we all think they can be?
What do I always say about sports? And football's the worst at it because you don't get a huge sample size of games, is you become a prisoner of the moment. And I always try to avoid that because I hate that in sports talk. The overreaction of one game to one game. I'm not ready to just blow up on the Browns. But here's where I'm overreacting this week. The league is screwed, the Pats are great, and they're going to win the Super Bowl. As long as they stay healthy, which is always, that's kind of the always undertone in sports. Everybody, if you stay healthy.
That's a different overreaction than we've done in the last handful of years where we find the one loss and say, well,
I never have.
They're not good enough to win.
Yeah, everybody always, and what's funny too about the Tom Brady criticism all the time is it's never like, here's the start of the decline. It's always like, well, now he's going off the cliff. It's always an immediate, he's just done because of his age. And it's probably not even going to be that way. Like, most people kind of have a slow decline. But this guy looks, in one game, looks as good as you can look. And again, he's adding the best, who I believe is the best receiver in football.
He looked like he could play till he's 47. Like last night,
yes,
he looked better than any other quarterback out there.
And they protect him. Boy, they protect him. But that's it. You know, they protected Peyton Manning too. And look what he was able to do just standing back there. And you get that kind of protection, the weapons he has. Your pick for the Jets to win the division is now just 1 week in. It could not look any worse 1 week in.
It's true. Look, I texted you Saturday night. Is it too late to change my pick after they had signed Antonio
before a game
Brown?
had been played.
You know.
Yeah.
After they signed Antonio Brown, I thought, well, I've got no chance now. Then I saw the Jets blow the lead to the Bills, and I thought, well, I've got no chance.
You know what's amazing about that, too? When they release him, I so idiotically think to myself, boy, I wonder if this guy is really going to get a shot in the NFL. How stupid was I to think that?
Stupid.
Very stupid. And you know what? Like, this is the kind of guy, if you league owners want to collude and blacklist, like, it's this guy, not Colin Kaepernick.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like, this kind of guy, this kind of attitude, this guy who's such a cancer to any locker room you bring him in, he's the guy the league should say, you know what, screw this guy. He's not getting the money that he uses to just become even more of an ego, right? Like, he's the guy I don't want to hear anything from. And then, of course, who is it? Not that we need a reason to hate the Patriots more, but of course, it's the New England Patriots who go out and get him. And then I'm thinking to myself, you know what, boy, that's what makes the Patriots different. Because while I'm sitting there and other people are sitting there saying, screw this Antonio Brown guy, you know what, good on you, the Raiders, to say, I don't care how good you are, we're not tolerating that crap. New England sits there and says, we'll take him.
Right.
We'll win a Super Bowl.
I saw
Of course it's New England.
a great tweet today that you would love from a Patriots hater, clearly. But it was like, let's hope Antonio Brown goes from the villain to the hero everyone needs and destroys that locker room from the inside out.
Yeah.
Like, destroys the franchise from the inside out.
Yeah, and
so good.
And you want to believe that, but like, it just won't happen because it's the Pats. But I saw a great meme today of Tom Brady saying, like, you know, they thought he couldn't hate us anymore, and then it's like the Antonio Brown picture that he tweeted with him and the Pats. You know, it's like, hold my beer, you know, because he's just, and you know he's going to come and tear it up.
No doubt. No doubt. All right, so come hang out with us every Monday.
When does the NBA
afternoon,
start?
Starting
October?
at 12:30.
Next month.
We'll react to Week 2 in the NFL. We'll preview Jets Browns
Yeah.
next week right here on the 104.5 The Team ESPN Radio Facebook page. For Sean Bagnardi and Ashley Miller, I'm Chris Onorato. Thanks for hanging out, everybody.